Hi, good morning. My name is Mark Logerato. I'm with Listen Up Audio out of Atlanta, and I have the pleasure today of introducing two friends of mine. First one up is Mark Paddon. He's the CEO of Guidekick. He's going to present a study on what they did at the Getty, and that will be followed by another friend of mine, Jim Olson from the Peabody Essex. And we'll take Q&A all together at the end. So we'll let them present first, and then we'll go to Q&A. So, Mark, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. Again, my name is Mark Paddon, and I'm the CEO of Guidekick. My colleague, Steve Gemmell, couldn't make it today, but we created this presentation together and collaborated on it. My other colleague, Jason from the Getty, is here and will be helping demo a couple iPads from the project later on. So today we're going to be talking about Gems and Magic, an ultra high resolution virtual display case for the new Getty Villa reinstallation. Or at least I think we will. Okay, there we go. So for those of you who don't know, the Getty Villa is the smaller of the two Getty museums in LA. The villa is in Malibu, and it specializes in art of the ancient world, so Roman, Greek, Etruscan, and it's styled like an ancient Roman villa, specifically the Villa of Papyri and Herculaneum. So that's kind of the living history you get to walk through and experience and explore when you get there. And so the collection has over 44,000 Greek, Roman, and Etruscan antiquities, dating from 6500 BC to 400 AD. So right now, the museum is undergoing a major reinstallation. So for the in the past, the traditional approach has been grouping objects by theme. So for example, mythological heroes or women in antiquity were two themes of the museum. And that's changing right now. It's being reorganized across the entire museum in a narrative approach. So in a more like linear and chronological way, you can kind of walk through time, where each gallery is kind of an evolution of ancient art and objects as you progress through the museum. So as part of this massive project that's taking many people and a lot of physical changes at the museum, one of them was the opportunity for some new digital projects and initiatives. So the Getty Villa collection has a lot of really small and hard to see objects like gems and jewelry and coins, small metallic scrolls, things that are really hard to see and are grouped together in display cases behind glass on a wall. And so the Getty had several objectives. They didn't want to be putting information all over the objects. They wanted to have a kind of minimal presentation. They didn't want people to be crowding around trying to read what was there. And they also wanted to be able to show information on the objects, like different views, maybe like what something looks like from behind, or the impression, what a ring looks like when it's impressed in plaster or wax, like it would have been in ancient times. And so here's this ring of Minerva in context on display case. So these are hard to see, they're really small. And then here is some of the detail that we have on each object. So these tiny things that are barely visible to the human eye, the Getty imagery team captured these beautiful high-resolution images, like this ring of a bust of Minerva. Going back a little bit, the Getty team took a look around at the kind of museum landscape at existing digital display devices, and there were various bespoke projects at different museums, but none of them had this kind of magic deep zoom feature that was really important. The idea that we could tap on a small ring and go and zoom really close in to all of these fine details and attributes about it. So that was kind of the main reason of really reimagining this project from the ground up and building it from the ground up. The Getty team undertook kind of conceptualizing the project. This is an early diagram of kind of imagining what a display case might look like. This is the same one we were just looking at, where a digital display might be positioned and kind of how it would work. And so we ended up using iPad Pros that were positioned by the display case. So we have a couple demos here. And that's kind of where we started to come in. So this image behind me is actually the photography lab at the Getty Villa. So they have a team and some incredible equipment that captures these high resolution images. Many of these pictures are 7 or 8K resolution, so they're huge image files and they're incredibly detailed. And so there was some really amazing content to work with to bring this project to life. So when we came in, we had when Geico came into the project, the Getty team had a working concept and display, and our goal was to really take it from there, validate that it would work and that it would make sense, iterate on some rough early designs, and kind of take it through fruition and develop it and release it. So this is a setup that my team worked to create at the museum, and this was sort of a mock display case. It's a printout of the case on the wall before anything was existing in reality. You can see an iPad mounted there with a little camera over it and a microphone where interview questions were being recorded and feedback was being collected. One of the most exciting attributes to this project from a development perspective was how far we got with having a no-code prototype. So we used Flinto, and were able to create a gesture-driven kind of static mock-up that you could tap through and swipe around different elements. But we were able to iterate on several versions of that and put it in front of testers and get some valuable feedback and really get almost to the end of the product design before we wrote a single line of code. So for a project like this, that is one thing that worked really well that I would recommend to other projects. This is an example of some of our testing feedback results. So our process was we would bring in testers in groups of cohorts of about 5 people. These were volunteers who ideally had no background experience or affiliation with the project. We would try to have a pretty rigorous and unbiased series of questions we'd ask them. And these are some of our results. So you can see for each tester, we have their feedback. We have it labeled by negative, neutral, or positive. And then on the far left side, you can see it's being tabulated kind of so we can prioritize what's the most consistent feedback. Some of the takeaways for us were fairly minor. A lot of it was feedback on gestures and interaction, as well as like really simple stuff like a visitor knowing that this is something interactive and inviting them to come use it, and then it's not kind of a passive thing to look at from the side, which is kind of the natural tendency in an art museum environment. So these are a couple screenshots of the final project. On the technical side, the project was developed in Unity. There are a couple reasons for that. One was working with the high resolution images and assets. The second was kind of future-proofing for different types of media. We had some ideas behind 3D photogrammetry and objects being in the scene, and as well as different platforms built at once, compiled to different types of tablets like Android and iOS. One really interesting technical challenge for us was the resolution of the images. In some cases, like I mentioned, 7 or 8K, hundreds of megabytes, so we had to build a pretty crazy tiling solution to manage memories or going in and out between objects, as well as the shadows behind the object are all dynamic and done in software, so we can kind of just drop in the images, and then the software will tile them and light them and set up the scene that's ready to go. Another thing that's really important for us was over-there updating. There's going to be over 10 in separate cases powered by this kind of shell app when it's finished. So we needed a way to be able to have one app and then push updates over the air as objects change or as new cases are configured. So once the core was built, it's really easy to keep, to maintain the system. And then the last was an extreme anal retentive detail to UI and UX, which hopefully shows when you guys get to see the demo. That was kind of our back and forth with the Getty team and their designers on this project. So this is the what a content view looks like in the app, going back to the ring we started with. When you tap on an object, it will zoom in gracefully into the object. You tap one more time, and it will zoom in to the deep zoom view. So you can zoom in really far, move it around, and see alternate views, these thumbnails here at the bottom that you can look at as well. So this is a couple images of the end rollout. This actually went live last Friday, so it's brand new. I haven't seen this myself yet. This is at the Getty Villa. The first gallery opened. We have 3 live right now, and about 7 more on the way before the end of the year. So hopefully next time we're back, we'll be able to share some more results and data on our success so far. So that's what I have. We have a couple iPads to show after the presentations are over, so please come up and give it a try. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay.